Okay, guys, so welcome. Tonight's practice started off being scripted around the idea of the bladder meridian and its pair, which is the kidney meridian. And they generally focus on helping us balance fear and wisdom. So if you're feeling a lot of tension and anxiety, that's all tied into fear. And the bladder meridian runs from the inside of your right eye, and it kind of swoops up around the back of your head and comes down along your scapula, which is your shoulder blade, and right down into your low back. And the kidney meridian starts at the toe and scoops down into the sole of your foot and then comes up the inside line of the legs and up through the torso. So they're a front and back meridian. Bladder is more upper body, kidney is a little bit more lower body, so they work with each other. But then playing with this class, it actually turned more into something about equilibrium. So what you'll find as we move through is some of our shapes are ones that are naturally a little bit stronger, even when you bring into the practice a little bit more of a restorative edge. And then we've balanced them in some way with a space that gives you some release or some counter or some surrender option, just to kind of come into that space where there's lots of shift and energy and then let it go. And so we're kind of moving through that ebb and flow of some equilibrium in our practice tonight. As always, you guys get to control your edge, the depth, how much sensation, all about bringing in all your props, supporting yourself. And we have a few little tweaks to some of our shapes that you might be interested in just giving a try. You don't have to stay in that variation, but maybe give them a try and see if it brings anything to you in your practice. We're going to start in supine butterfly. So on our back, soles of feet together, knees coming apart. Of course, you could bring a bolster underneath the knees, make this softer. Box could be underneath the thighs to be supported. Or you can let them float unsupported if the sensation is a space where you can settle. Now the shoulder blades tuck under. And then when you're ready and you take that big heavy sigh, take the arms out. Let the hands get heavy. Open up the space through the heart and the chest, and maybe even raise the hands so they're above the line of the shoulders. But if that doesn't feel natural or productive in your practice, let the arms rest wherever you like. Let the eyes close down. Take a few deep breaths here. And what you might sense as you arrive, especially if your arms are wide open, is a sense of vulnerability here. And in that space might rise a sense of discomfort, maybe not the physical discomfort if your body is well supported, but emotional and energetic. See if you can sit with it. Slow, deep breaths. Letting the exhale be heavy, knowing that you're safe. If the arms are splayed and you are sensing that discomfort of vulnerability, of openness, maybe you bring your hands towards the chest. You could have one on the heart and one on your core, or both over your heart. Come back to the sigh breath, as many as you like or need. Start to notice if you feel that shift away from fear, less discomfort. 5 more breaths here. Last deepest breath. The hands come to the outside of your leg. Close the knees towards each other slow. Let's bring these to chest. Take a moment here. Rebound with a little movement or awareness and stillness. And then feet come down. Take the feet wide as your mat, maybe even a little wider. So take a slow windshield wiper. Let the knees fall towards the right. Pressing the left knee down. You're going to feel the left hip lift, reaching into the low back. Inhale, lift the left knee up. The right leg comes when it's ready. They fall to the left, pressing the right knee towards the floor. Hip flexor, side body, feeling it into the low back. And come back through center. And then letting the knees fall to the right. Stag twist. Shift your feet so that you find your space. You're feeling this through the left side into the left low back. You could cross the right knee over the left, but that's an option you don't have to take. You could always support yourself here underneath either of the floating knees, or just let them be. Find your space. Slow, deep breath in. Big, heavy sigh. You could take the gaze either direction. See how it feels. Close the eyes. Shoulders heavy to the floor. Notice if you're holding a lot of tension here. Relax the glute muscles, the thighs, the core. Just 3 more breaths here. On this last exhale, if the ankle is crossed over the knee, let it come down very, very slowly. Windshield wiper back to center. Constructed resting. Take a moment. And you can stay in stillness for another breath or two, or start to bring those windshield wipers back in. Lubricate the hips just a little bit. Moving slow. And then we're going to let the knees fall over towards the left side. You can shift and adjust your feet so that you find the sensations for the right side body into the low back through the top of the hip flexor. You could cross the foot over top of the knee. And you found your space, big, heavy sigh. Relax the glutes, the top of the thigh, the soles of the feet. Three more breaths here. With the sigh, if the ankles cross, let it come down. Slowly, slowly coming back through center. Constructed resting, both feet on the floor. Just let that move through. And wiggle the toes. You can roll out the ankles, maybe bring knees to chest and lengthen your low back. A little massage. We're going to start to make our way up towards seated. So take a path that feels the best in your body, keeps your energy nice and even. We're going to come to square pose. It's also known as log cabin in a yang practice. We call it double pigeon. It is strong. It reaches through the outside lines of the hips and the legs, in also to your low back. So if you need to help your pelvis tilt forward, fold the mat, tuck a blanket underneath the sit belt. We're going to start with the right leg on top. And your options, I'm going to give those as we go. So the bottom leg, the shin is parallel-ish to the top of your mat. And then ankle comes over knee, knee comes over the bottom ankle, which you can adjust and move forward if you have that space. This really controls the intensity. So does closing this down so that it gets a little tighter. If your hips are really tight or they just don't move this way, you can support with a block. You can take this off and turn this into a variation of shoelace. So it could be cross-legged. It could be more open. We're looking for sensation through this outside line and into the low back, and we're going to fold it. So find your variation that's going to feel best for you. We're going to take a moment to lift the heart, let the legs relax, shoulders soften, close the eyes. Just sit into the discomfort that rises here in this shape. And you might stay here. Maybe you don't fold this. Maybe you don't need to move it to get deep into sensation. You can bring something a front to be able to rest down into. We're going to start to walk it. If there's space, hands come to the floor. Take a breath here in this first edge. Sigh it out. Maybe you stay. Maybe you explore something else. But also knowing that going deeper doesn't necessarily increase your sensation. So find that space where you can settle into this energy release. And as you sit in it, soften the shoulders, let the head and neck start to soften and dangle. Come back to a really intentional deep breath. Notice if that strong release through the hips that holds all our stuff into the low back, which ties into this meridian line of fear and anxiety. Notice if it moves into the heart. So breathe it in and then let it go. Remembering if you find yourself in a space that's too strong, ease yourself out just a little bit, settle back in. See if you can relax through the sit bones, the hips, the legs. 3 more breaths. Big sigh. Let all of it go. Trying to walk your heart back up. Hands come in behind. Let's release the legs and open them wide. You can take them long into Shavasana and turn this into beach pose. You could leave them bent and the feet on the floor and stay in stillness here. Or you could choose some movement and some windshield wipers. Whatever is going to feel best. Practices of discomfort are so challenging. If you can sit in it, the release is just delicious. Two more. We're going to come towards the other side. So if you need any movement on your way there, you can always take it now. So this time, the left leg is shifting to be on top. And you might find that your setup, the shape of your legs, the variation you take is completely different on this side. It's normal. Our hips are so different side to side. So adjust, shift, and move. Take your time to find your way in. As you arrive at the eyes closed, come to a really tall spine, soften face, shoulders, the hands. Relax the legs, start to feel. And then let's take this into our fold. Hands might just come forward. They might come forward to blocks or just pressing weight into the palms. Pause in your first edge. Let it move through. Make the choice. On an exhale, you could explore and shift. When you're ready, take your side and settle in. Come back to softening the legs, the hips, the shoulders, the face. You notice your intensity starts to rise. Notice if you're engaged in holding tension. Heavy breath, soften all the spaces. Three more breaths here. Last one, slow inhale. Heavy sigh. Hands walk to lift the heart. The hands come behind just so we can unravel the legs. We're actually going to come forward and take our rebound prone on our stomach. So take your time as you bring your legs behind you. Might be tender and sore. Let yourself get heavy to the floor. Take three more breaths here. If you have your head so it's facing one direction, let yourself come to center so you're either supporting your chin or your forehead on the backs of your palms. We're going to bend the knees, float the feet up, just flex the feet, roll the ankles. This is our yang, a little movement. You can wave the legs, rock the hips, make circles, figure eights, whatever you feel like you need to help release. And then let the feet come down. We're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders and we're going to press towards tabletop. So we're going to come into melting heart. This is a strong shape and you can support it if it doesn't feel really good in your body. Probably mostly through the shoulders is where you're going to feel the most sensation. But it's really focusing on the front line of the body and the low back. So we're going to take our knees to their hip width apart, like we're going to go into child's pose, but instead of shifting the hips back, we're going to walk the hands forward so that they're in front of our shoulders. And then we reach the hips back so that we're opening through the arms and letting the heart melt down to the floor. We're not going to stay here for a long time. This is a really strong space. If that doesn't feel good, then bring your bolster so that as you bring your heart down, the floor is lifted and you have a place to rest. This takes the pressure out of your shoulders, but still gives you the sensation of the heart chakra coming towards the floor, feeling that contact. Like slow breath. We're only here for 10. Let the breath support you in the discomfort. Two more slow breaths. Very slowly, I'm going to find a way to come back towards hands and knees. I like to move my heart forward, come to forearms, and then press into hands and lift the heart. We're going to transition this into a child's pose. You could take this as a wide child's pose if you like, but keep your legs at least wide as your hips, even if the legs are staying parallel. I'm going to use a block for third eye contact to help give us some grounding. And as you come into your child's pose, you could leave your arms alongside. You could bring them along the body, but maybe you explore tucking them into the space between the legs. This closes down the heart, contracts the shoulders inward, opens up the lines through the back. You might play with this, explore it, and choose that it's not for you. That's okay. But maybe give it an opportunity to see if it brings anything for you in your practice. If your arms are tucked into your child's pose, shift forward enough to draw them out, reach them up overhead. Settle back in with a breath. Three more breaths. Very slowly, find your way towards hands and knees. Shoulders over the wrists, knees under the hips. Just pause at the head and neck angle. Slow breath. And then bring in any movement you like, some yang, some cat and cow, maybe a slow down dog, even some cobra or shifting side to side, whatever you need. We're going to make our way onto our back. Take your time as you come down. And have a block nearby. And you can choose your bolster also, but if you want a stronger structure, a block is a nice choice. Just let your shoulders come down, the sacrum ground down. Take a breath. We're going to come up into supported bridge. And I'm going to give you some options through our bridge time. You can come into whatever level of bridge you like. So if you normally take a specific level, you can go there. If you want to come into a little more sensation tonight, come to whatever is your maximum level of support for your bridge. So maybe level 2 on your block, or if you're using a bolster, maybe you add a blanket over top of it just to find a little bit more space. But if that doesn't feel like it's going to be good for your body, then you come into whatever variation of a bridge is going to feel best for you. So press into the feet, lift the hips, slide your support underneath your sacrum, shift and adjust so you feel very supported here. And then we want to reach our hands up overhead. And if I don't come comfortably down to the floor, because of restriction or injury through the shoulder, then let them come to a space, maybe bending the elbows. So you can let them rest with the hands above the shoulders. Take a slow, big sigh. And resist the desire to extend the legs, maybe the knees open slightly as you relax your hips. And all your awareness into the front lines through the inner thighs, hip flexors, up the torso to the heart, down the back line to the sacrum. And take 3 more breaths here. And then I want you to bring your arms back down alongside and invite you to lower the level of your support. So press strongly into your feet, just enough to be able to lower your level. So reducing the intensity. So if you're on a block, bring it down a level. If you're on level 1 already, maybe you take it away. When you come back into your supported bridge, let's wrap the arms around the upper chest with the hands fall on either side of the shoulders. The weight of the arms can come across the forehead or the heart space. Does it feel like a hug, almost like a weighted blanket? 3 more breaths here. Then inhale, we're going to open the arms. Just let them come heavy down alongside. We're going to press into the feet and remove any remaining support underneath the sacrum. Come down. Just wiggle the toes. Move any intensities through the back line. Stirrup pose or half happy baby. We're going to start with the right leg, draw the knee in towards the chest. You can stay right here with this gentle hug or reach for the back of the heel or the arch of the foot. Let the knee come down. Your choice. The left leg can stay bent, the foot on the floor, or you can lengthen it out. You take your sigh here. See if you can relax everything. Let the sacrum stay rounded, the shoulders stay heavy so that we're not tipping to the knee side. Two more. If the foot is lifted, let the heel come down. Let's turn this into a twist of our choice. So you could draw this knee across the body. You could bring knees to knees. You could wrap this and turn it into twisted roots. Wherever you are, the knees come towards the left side first. Leave your shoulders heavy. And then when you sigh, let the arms find a home. Full surrender here, soften everything. Try letting your breath deepen. One more full inhale and release. Slowly bring yourself back to center. Both feet to the mat. Realign your spine. Settle here. When the left knee comes in towards the chest, option to stay right here or reach for the heel or the inner arch. Right leg could stay bent or start to lengthen. Wherever you are, heavy sigh, settle in, relax. 2 more breaths. Let the heel come down if the foot is lifted. Let's transition into your twist of choice. Shift the hips. Let the knees fall towards the right side. Let the shoulders get heavy to the floor. When you found your space, arms find a home on the exhale. 2 more breaths here. Slowly, when you're ready, bring yourself back, feet to the floor, realign. And pause here in stillness just for maybe 3 breaths and feel the vibration, the resonance, the change from the beginning of your practice. You can invite any movement you feel like you need. You can reach for socks or sweaters. Take a blanket. Let's start to find our way into your final relaxation. Maybe support yourself with your bolster beneath your knees. Maybe a blanket folded just under your head. Bring some ease and comfort and support to your Shavasana if you have the props and the options close by. And then come to stillness with the eyes closed. Slow, deep breaths, breathing like the whole body is breathing. Feel the shift, the equilibrium, the balance into more peace and more wisdom than maybe what we started with when we arrived. Take a slow, deep breath in. Let the belly rise and the ribs expand. Full breath up into the top of the lungs. Pause. Through the nose, let it go. One more. 3 parts in. Pause. And then let everything go. Gently coming back to breath. Slow and deep. Bringing movement back to fingers and toes, wrists, ankles. The head drops side to side. And let's invite any movement back in that would feel good. You could reach hands overhead and take a good morning stretch. You could bring knees to chest or anything that feels like it needs to happen. And then slowly start to make your way up towards seated. And then arrive, sit bones heavy, going up with a tall spine, with the eyes closed. Just check in. And then when you're ready, let's bring hands to heart. A moment to honor your own practice. Gratitude for making space to come and find yourself on your mat. As always, you have my gratitude for joining me and letting me guide you. Keep taking care, and I'll see you soon.